so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket trembling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, in the home of the
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming to you live from Chicagoland Motor Speedway. We're here with the Pad 250 with the Dented Truck Series with Domino's TY James Racing. I'd like to thank you guys for joining here on iRacing Live Portal. Got a great race in store for you tonight, as this is our last race for the Dented Truck Series going into our chase. Curtis Young's going to be joining me tonight. How you doing tonight, Curtis?
Oh, pretty good, Mitchell. It's going to be a good race here at Chicagoland, race 22 on the season, and last race before the chase, so it's really the last chance for a lot of these drivers to, the guys that are outside the window, to win and make their way in, or some of these guys to just, win and try and get that momentum going into the playoffs. But other than that, I mean, I think it's a crown jewel race here for the Dented Fenders Truck Series, and it should be a good one.
Yeah, as you talk about the crown jewel race, there is some money up for grabs tonight for the top three. So those top three positions are really going to be some key positions for some winners, runner-ups, and third-place guys. Looking at the points here, we're really going to keep our focus tonight on David Wright. He's going to be in the 42 truck. Sean Callis in the 45, and Blake Griffith is going to be in the number 2. They're all right there on the cusp, so it's going to be a really important night for them tonight to really have a great finish and a solid run in to get them into this chase and get them a great start and give them a chance at this championship. But right now we're going into qualifying. Going to have two laps here, and going to get this field going for the Pad 250. Curtis, tell us something about Pad, which is direct against distracted driving.
What's that? Sorry.
Tell us some things about Pad.
PAD is People Against Distracted Driving. I believe, I don't know too much about the organization myself, but I know it's an organization that basically tries to promote against distracted driving, keeping you off your phones and just trying to keep yourself focused on driving itself. I mean, that's all I really know about it. They do help us out a lot here in Domino's TYJ Racing, so we thank them for sponsoring this race.
Yeah, we definitely do. Mike Collini, I believe, is the guy that runs that show over there, and he has done a lot for the iRacing community in the last couple years. Had a tragic accident with his daughter, Nikki Collini, and an accident that ended up taking her life, but she still lives on with all of us through PAD. And if Mike Collini's watching, we can't thank you enough for everything you've given to the iRacing community, and especially all the races. Once again, mostly every race they've ever been a part of or sponsors turn out to be a great race, and we're hoping for the same thing tonight here.
Yeah, well, we got a second here. We'll go over the current top 10 in the points standings. Take a look at that. Leading the points right now, after last week's win, James Ross goes back to the top of the board, 4 points ahead of the number 6 at Gerald Campbell. And Gary Sexton right now riding in the 3rd position in the points. Jack Watts in 4th, only 10 points behind Gary. And 4 points back of Jack is the 33 of Vernon Margheim. He's got 665 points, doesn't have a win yet, and sitting in 6th right now is the 07 of Tyler Chalk. William Locklear sitting 7th in the points right now. Andrew Kessler 8th. Judd Danielson sitting 9th, about where he has been sitting for the majority of this season anyway, and Jeremy Crandall in recent weeks has made his way back up into the top 10 in points, has managed to hold on to it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race for them. I know I talked to Gerald Campbell a little bit earlier, was really wanting to get that regular season points championship. Doesn't really mean anything, but just kind of a pride thing. He's been right on James's heels from what I remember for a good bit of this, and I think he wants to, kind of get over James there and have a lot of momentum moving into the countdown to the championship here. But like we said earlier, there's a lot of guys here at right here in the 19th to 22nd spot in points that are really going to battle hard tonight to make it. It's always fun here to run at Domino's CYJ, but everybody in this race, and I'm sure even more that weren't able to make it tonight, would love to get their hands on that trophy at the end of the year here.
Yeah, and another guy I'm looking right now, he hasn't been able to make it out to too many races. The 00 of Gabriel Wood, he's sitting 35th in the points right now. He's only been able to run 6 races out of the 22 on the schedule. Looks like he is almost 100 points back of 30th place, so even if he got the win tonight, wouldn't be able to make his way into the chase. But I'm sure he'd love to get the win. He's been close a couple times here in the Truck Series, and it just hasn't worked out for him. So looks almost as fast as that number 51 machine in qualifying trim. We'll see what the race brings.
Well, speaking of qualifying, it looks like we are just concluding it here. I'm just going to go over a couple facts for the race before we go through the grid here. It's going to be 167 laps tonight, no resets or anything like that. So it should be a very interesting race on that part. Lots going to happen, I believe, between the race here. So once we get going here, it should be interesting. But as we go through the field here, starting in the pole positions, look, it's going to be the 51 of James Ross. On the outside pole is going to be the 00 of Gabriel Wood. Third place, we had a strong showing at Bristol in the Xfinity cars last week, is going to be Gary Sexton in the 17. Number 4 on the starting grid is going to be the number 2 of Blake Griffith, one of the guys we're going to keep our eyes on tonight with the points. Starting in 5th place is going to be Judd Danielson in the 85, beautiful steel Toyota Tundra there. 6th place is going to be the number 6 of Gerald Campbell. 7th place, a Southeast Motorsports teammate, Mark Jackson, is going to be going on the inside row there from position 7. Another Southeast Motorsports teammate, Tyler Chalk's going to be in 8th place. Going to be watching out for him tonight. Coming home in the 9th position off the grid here is going to be Vernon Margheim, always a strong competitor there. And rounding out the top 10 is going to be the 44 of Ray Richer.
And rolling off P11 is another one of those Southeast Motorsports machines. That's Wesley Whitfield driving the number 71 tonight. To his outside is the number 4 of William Locklear, starting in 12th, and behind them is James Somke. He's rolling off 13th tonight. Starting 14th is the 11 of William Davis. 15th is the 24 of Eric Stanford, and to his outside is the 66 of Jack Watts. My good buddy Gary Weston rolls off from P17 tonight, and Chad Payne will roll off to his outside in 18th. Josh Tanner in the number 84 rolls off P19 tonight, and Mark Fravert rounds out your top 20, and looks like he was the last one to take a qualifying time as well.
It looks like it. We're coming out of here at turn 2, but it's looking like we're having some issues here on the grid. It looks like the 33 of Vernon Margheim might have some issues starting that truck up. Looks like he's going to have to take it behind the wall earlier, so that's a tough break for Vernon. But coming down in here to turn 3, what do you expect tonight here, Curtis?
I'm expecting these guys know that this is the last race before the chase, and really I think they want it to be a clean race. It's going to be a long one, so even if there are some big wrecks, I'm sure that we'll get some long green flag runs and hopefully some green flag pit stops at some point. But James Ross, he's been the dominant truck all season. He's going to lead him off to the pole here tonight.
And we're green flag here at Chicagoland as James Ross is already on the loud pedal, taking about 2 or 3 car length lead here as we come through the tri-oval. 17 of Gary Sexton's already looking under Gabriel Wood. These restarts are really going to be a key factor. Already taking the 2nd position. It looks like the top 5, maybe 7 or 8, has actually already gotten single file, just looking like they're going to ride here.
And the first battle for position that I see is the 71 of Wesley Whitfield and the 44 of Ray Richer. Ray Richer looks to be powering by on the outside in his number 44 Amsoil machine. 4 of William... That's William Davis, actually, William Locklear in the 4 follows suit, gets around the outside. Wesley Whitfield looks slow on the bottom right now. The 1 truck of James Somke's getting a run on the outside as well.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom may not be the place to be. He's getting a little loose there. Looks like he's going to succeed position to the number 1 there, and it might be 3 wide going into turn 3 here with the 84 and 24, but they already quit Wesley Whitfield. Looks like he may have some problems.
I'm not sure what's going on with that 71 machine, trying to save some tires maybe, but he has dropped back quite a number of positions here. Gary Weston is the next truck behind him. He is in 16th position, so Whitfield has dropped 4 positions already in this race. Seems like a lot more than that. I guess maybe passed a few before I saw that, but looks like a lot of these guys have just single filed out for the most part, which is surprising. I'm sure the trucks are pretty close right now, and everybody's just kind of waiting for tires to wear and whatnot before they start making some moves.
Yeah, it looks like most of the field has been single file. Looking at Tyler Chalk here in the 07 in 8th place, right on the back bumper of Judd Danielson. But like you said there, Curtis, it looks like most people are just kind of keeping it easy. Oh, and the 1 is in the wall. 44 Ray Richer, and the 1 out of turn 2.
And
Looks
the
like
one of James Somke, it looks like he got a little bit loose there, chased it up the hill right in front of Ray Richer, and just got basically pit maneuvered himself into the outside fence.
as we start trying to pull up a replay here, yeah, they were really battling hard there, Curtis. They just were trying to keep it together there, and they were door to door all the way through. But it looks like the one just kind of came up on Ray Richard there. I don't know if the spotter call is clear, but that's really a tough break for those two drivers earlier in this race.
Yeah, and from my view, it looked like the one truck of James Somke was losing control just a little bit coming out of turn 2. Got a little bit wiggly, and he just really he slid up a little bit more than the line that he wanted to take, and Ray Richer was right there. And yeah, like you said, that's unfortunate for both of those drivers. I'm sure Ray is it looks like his truck is heavily damaged as well, so just a 2-truck incident there, but not what we wanted to see on lap 4.
Yeah, definitely right, Curtis. But the good thing about it is, at least it was only 2 trucks. That was a great job by all the other drivers there in the back, avoiding them. Coming here on the pace lap. Looks like everybody's going to go ahead and take it to pit road here. So the 51 of James Ross leading them in. It looks like everybody was going to follow.
And I see if anybody's going to take a 2-tire call here after just 5 laps in the books. Green flag, and doesn't look like it anyway. Nobody from the top 4 is deciding to take 2. Everybody's going to take 4. I didn't really have any opportunity to run any practice laps under these conditions that these guys are dealing with tonight, so I'm not really sure how important tires are, but judging from what we just saw, 4 laps in, everybody already wants to take tires. I'm going to guess that tires mean quite a bit, so that could factor in later on in the race as well if people are just they've had a long green flag run and they don't want to give up the track position, and other people decide to pit and then just get blown by. I mean, that's you hate to see that happen too, but that's always the strategy call that comes with it.
You're exactly right. Well, coming out of pit road here, it looks like David Wright is probably going to come in here and pit. It looked like he was trying to get the that very important point that he needed to get in the top 20 here, but it looks like it may not pay off. I don't think they're going to give him the lead there on pit road, but once he gets out of pit road here, we're going to pull him up to the booth and see what he thinks about this race for the last upcoming points race here.
I'm looking at actually Ivan Garcia. It looks like he stayed out on the track in his number 72 Tide machine, so give another lap led to Ivan Garcia. He seems to like to do that early on in the race. Why the heck not, I guess. We'll see if he actually stays out. He usually does, actually. He doesn't just stay out to get the point. He'll try and hold him off in the front of the field there, and if he can't, he'll just stay low or stay high, let him by. So,
well, that'll be very interesting. But we're going to pull David Wright into the booth here. Looks like he's sitting about 21st in points. David Wright, you got a copy?
10-4, got a copy.
Well, we saw you try to stay out there and get that lap led. Looking at the points, you were right on the cusp. We're really interested to know, what is your strategy going into this last regular season points race to try to get you in the chase?
Well, run my own race, avoid the cautions, and try to save some tires. It's a really slick track, really eats the tires up. My truck's not really fast off the get-go. I've got it kind of set for a long run to try to save tires, so just see what happens.
Well, yeah, we were watching that first start there, David. You're talking about a little bit more about the setup here. Is it just really like a loose setup, or is there multiple grooves, or what are you feeling from the truck in this early going?
The first lap or two you can be fast around the bottom, but after that it really gets loose coming off of 2, whereas on 4 you got room to push up. Some are going to run, I think, the middle, some will run the high, but you can do so much with your steering ratio and offset to try to prolong your tires, and that's kind of what I did in practice, was pay attention to that to try to get some extended wear out of them. I feel like we're going to eventually have some green runs, and going to need those tires.
Well, alrighty. Well, it looks like you guys are gridding back up to come back to the restart here, so good luck to you, sir.
10-4, thank you.
So what are you expecting on this restart, Mitchell, with the 72 of Ivan Garcia at the point, who started in 25th?
Well, it's going to be really interesting. You know, that like David just talked about, the tires were really falling off a lot, and he's on the bottom, so it's going to have to be kind of the driver's decision here how they're going to avoid them. We're coming out of here to turn 4. Ivan Garcia is going to take him to the pace car, and Ivan Garcia is gone. Green flag back in the air.
See what the outside line can do. It looks like Gabriel Wood actually gets the jump on the 51 at James Ross, so not sure if he'll be able to get in between them by the... This is going to be interesting. He cuts it up in front of the 51. Like you said, what a move by the number 00 of Gabriel Wood.
Oh,
and
no,
the 3 wide. Ivan Garcia goes sideways and Gabriel Wood gets hooked. Gabriel Wood up and over hard on the backstretch into turn 3.
Oh, man. Gosh, I hate to see I saw that coming, but it just looked like it. Gosh, that's a tough break for a lot of the really fast guys there. Looks like it might have started with the 72 of Ivan Garcia. He came out of turn 2 there, and it looked like he just kept coming up on the 2 of Blake Griffith and took out a lot of really good trucks here.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I'm not sure. It's hard to say whether the 72 came up or the 2 came down, but what happened after that, the amount of trucks that got involved, Gary Sexton, Gerald Campbell I think might have got a little bit of damage, William Locklear, James Ross, just a lot of fast trucks involved, and Gabriel Wood just got absolutely destroyed, and it looks like my good buddy Gary Weston gets involved too, so that's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, just as you said that, looks like Gary Weston's already bowed out. Looks like he's taking it behind the wall. That's a tough break for Gary Weston. This has been a lot of interesting events here just to begin the race, but like you said, going back through the field there, gosh, there was a lot of good trucks. You know, James Ross and Gabe Wood were really the top runners there in practice too. But kind of a developing story here we're seeing. Blake Griffith was right on the cusp there of getting into the championship, and it looks like he's going to come out of this leading the race here, Curtis.
Yeah, Blake Griffith managed to get through that one unscathed, and looks like we had a little bit of contact under caution there that I saw between the 2 and the 51. And we got a little bit of chaos going on.
Oh, I see this.
On the track right now, but there's a little bit of bumping and grinding between the 51, the 17, and the 2, James Ross, Blake Griffith, and Gary Sexton. Doesn't look like those 3 were very happy with each other, but I mean, that's racing. Sometimes things are going to happen that don't make you very happy, but these guys are going to try and bring their trucks down pit lane and see if they can get them fixed up.
Yeah, it looks like most of the guys that are going to pit this time are just going to be the guys that were in that. But yeah, James Ross definitely had some frustration there with the 2. I think that he is definitely saying that he was on the 2 there for his fault. But yeah, that is a tough break for a lot of those guys. But this is really going to kind of jumble up the field here. There's a lot of guys that were starting mid-pack that are really already up there, and tough break for a lot of the front runners here. So it's going to be interesting to see who really kind of prevails here as the race still is unfolding.
And Gerald Campbell looks like he's made it up to the 2nd position. He started in 6th. I did see him make a little bit of contact on that last wreck there, but his truck looks relatively good. It looks like he might have a little bit of rear end spoiler damage. And why don't we take a look at that number 6 of Gerald Campbell, his helmet. I always like looking at that one. He's had it all season, hasn't changed it. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's a few of them like that on Trading Paints, but that one has to be one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, he definitely is kind of a cool one. He's always looks like he's really happy. I've seen a couple other ones with some smiley faces on there, but that is one that definitely sticks out on the track. If I were to look through a window net and see that, there may be an intimidation factor in that for sure. So maybe that'll work for his advantage tonight.
I'm just looking through the field to see if anybody else has anything even close to as cool as that, and nobody does, so good job, Gerald.
Yeah. Well, looks like we're going to be coming here to 1 to green. Blake Griffith and Gerald Campbell is going to be coming up, but it looks like we're actually going to have a delayed caution here. Just got the word from the tower. We're all going to go one more lap under pace. Maybe we can get some time for an interview with Blake Griffith here.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a hold of that number 2 machine.
About that time he come across my nose.
Hey, number 2, Blake Griffith. It's Curtis Young in the All-Pro Broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, what's up?
Not much. So you managed to make it through that wreck. I mean, you had a little bit of contact with the 72 and kind of just a big pile up behind you, but you managed to make it through and get the lead. What happened from your point of view, and I mean, what do you think is in store for the rest of the race? What do you got for these guys?
Yeah, man, I hate that happened because it took out my teammate Gary Sexton too. Ivan was just really slow on the restart, and I seen him going down, and I was like, well, you know, I'm going to go to the middle here and go ahead and pass him. Well, then as soon as I got up there, I noticed there wasn't enough room, so I started backing out of it. As soon as I started backing out of it, he came across my nose, and there it went. But I hate that that happened. If I did cause it, I apologize to anybody that got caught up in that. But I've had a fast truck all week in practice, so I'm hoping I can pull something out of this and you know, secure a spot in the chase.
All right, Blake. Well, good luck for the rest of the race, and we'll let you go.
Thanks, man.
So there you have it. That's one side of the story anyway. I'm sure that Ivan Garcia has a little bit something different to say than what Blake Griffith did. But another thing we haven't gone over is we do have the free pizza giveaway tonight, like we always do. I believe Robert has given away close to 40 or 50 of them. After the restart here, we'll get Mitchell to go over that, but the phone number and all that. But get your pick in before lap 84.
Yes, we'll go over that as soon as we get back to the restart here. But as we come out of turn 4, Blake Griffith is going to bring him back to the green with Gerald Campbell on the outside, and Blake Griffith is off. The green flag is back in the air.
Judd Danielson looks like he gets a good jump on the inside of the number 6 machine of Gerald Campbell. Eric Stanford right behind them, and behind them it looks like Josh Tanner and the number 15 of Jeff T. Martin were side by side, but Tanner actually made the bottom work on the restart there. So I'm not sure if these trucks on the restarts, if the bottom works a little better just because they're not wound up to full song yet, or what. Like I said, I didn't really have a chance to drive them this week with what these guys are dealing with, but Josh Tanner, he's right on the back bumper, the number 85 of Judd Danielson. Danielson driving around the number 24 of Eric Stanford on the outside. So the outside does seem to be the place to be once these trucks are wound up, and Josh Tanner right on the back bumper again of Judd Danielson. Danielson going to pull to the bottom and give him the spot.
That was some really close racing there. Josh Tanner's come on the outside of Judd again. Let's see if that outside's going to work. Not looking like it. He's going to keep peeking there. Looks like we're going to be almost door to door going into 1 and 2. Judd Danielson with the advantage, still there in second place. Looking back behind him, Eric Stanford's just waiting to see what happens. But Josh Tanner is definitely not giving up for that second spot here out of turn 2.
And Josh Tanner has been running that extreme high lane. He's made it work. He's about a truck length farther. He's cleared Judd Danielson actually into turn 3. We'll see if Judd Danielson can make a dive down to the bottom and make it work. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it, so move Josh Tanner into that second position. He's going to set his sights on Blake Griffith for the lead.
Yes, we come into turn 1 here. Josh Tanner's already pulling away, but looking back through the field, looks mainly single file until we get to Wesley Whitfield in the 71 and 10th place, as we see Tyler Chalk making a move on the man we talked to earlier, David Wright, for 9th position, or 8th position it looks like.
David Wright driving that number 42 Triad Computer Works machine. Always like that purple and green and orange Chevrolet, and tight racing with the 07 Tyler Chalk there. It looks like Tyler Chalk almost got up into him and then had to crank it down onto the apron. They're still side by side headed down into turn number 1. Doesn't look like either of these guys want to give it up, and now Tyler Chalk finally does clear him.
And once he does that, it looks like most of this field became single file. But going back to the lead here, just in a couple laps, it looks like Josh Tanner has kind of made up some ground here on Blake Griffin in the 2 as we're going to come back to the start-finish line here.
And it looks like he might actually try and make an outside move headed into turn number 1. He's to the outside. Can he pin the number 2 down and make the outside lane work? He's running basically the second groove up from the top of the wall, so as high as you can get without getting up into all the marbles, and he clears the number 2 of Blake Griffith in just about a straightaway there.
Yeah, Josh Tanner's really showing his muscle here really early. And speaking of taking the lead, Curtis brought it up earlier tonight. We are giving away a free pizza to the YouTube viewers and the iRacing Live viewers as we have a caution here.
And 73 and the 71, Jeremy Crandall and Wesley Whitfield. We get a replay up of that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy Crandall might have just tapped the wall at a turn 4 there, and it put William Davis in the 11 just nowhere to go. And then Wesley Whitfield, a Southeast Motorsports teammate, just looked like he had nowhere to go. But that just shows how tight the racing is tonight, Curtis. You know, he just had nowhere to go there, and it just ended up not working in Wesley Whitfield and Jeremy Crandall's favor there.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Jeremy Crandall just got up into the wall a little bit, came off about a foot. I think if he had stayed right up against the wall, the 11 might have been able to miss him. But, I mean, when you get up into the wall, you just want to get off of it as fast as you can. So he moved off just a little bit. That little bit was enough to get hooked by the 11. And, unfortunately, he collects the 71 of Wesley Whitfield.
Well, as we were talking about it just prior to that caution, once again, YouTube viewers and iRacing Live viewers, we are giving away a free pizza tonight from Domino's. If you would like to be in on this action and get a chance at it, please text your race winner who you think will win the race by lap 84 to the phone number of 919-883-7497. That is Robert McFarland's number. Once again, it is 919-883-7497. And simply just text him who you think the race winner will be by lap 84, and hopefully you will be the first one to do it and pick the right guy, and you will have a free pizza courtesy of Domino's TYJ Racing.
Yeah, and remember everybody, it does go to the first person who picks the correct person, so it is good to wait until the halfway point to make your pick, in the sense that your guy could be out of the race by then, but also somebody could have already picked your other guy, so it's a double-edged sword. Take your pick. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't, so.
You're exactly right. Well, you know, just kind of reviewing, we're only on lap 23 of 167. A lot of this race to go, but Curtis, you know, we've kind of seen a kind of a reoccurring theme here. 2 of our wrecks has just been with people. Looks like they're getting tied off exit from the number 1 of James Sondbike and now the number 73 of Jeremy Crandall. As we go further into this race, and we actually, you know, we watched Josh Tanner, how he really made the middle line work. From a driver's seat standpoint, what would be your strategy moving forward now?
I think I would be doing what Josh Tanner is and just running the top as much as I can. It did look like he was running it pretty hard just because of the closing rate he had on some of the other drivers, but I really think that he must know this track, and just because when you run the bottom and you cut that turning radius a bit tighter for that period of time, you obviously burn the tires up a little bit more, and if he can make that outside line work and be just as fast like that, I think that's gonna be beneficial for him.
You're exactly right. Well, looking like we're going to have James Ross, Gary Sexton, Vernon Margheim give the wave around, which is going to put Josh Tanner back at the P1 position here. Once we come to the restart, I think we're at 2 to green here, but just kind of looking through the top 5 here, we got Josh Tanner sitting at P1. Blake Griffin's going to come out second. Looks like David Wright might have just stayed out just to get the lap led. Third is going to be Eric Stanford, the 24. Fifth is going to be the 85 of Judd Danielson. And the 15 of Jeff Martin. Haven't talked to him much tonight. You know, really just kind of just been, I think, avoiding most of these wrecks. He's found himself out there in the top 5, Curtis.
Yeah, and another guy who's moved up quite a bit is the 98 of Andrew Kessler. He's found his way up into the top 10. He started in 21st. He is always pretty fast, and more so on the flatter, shorter tracks, but still looking for a win on a mile and a half, I do believe, for that number 98 machine. But yeah, really at this point, I think it's Josh Tanner's race to lose, but there could be a few other guys hiding amongst the field who hasn't really made their way up front yet.
Yeah, and definitely, I think I definitely agree with you. Josh has really already shown his hand. He's shown that I'm going to take the outside whether you like it or not. I'm going to win this race whether you like it or not. But, just like we saw earlier, Ivan Garcia stayed out. And that ended up really affecting and actually ended up kind of retiring a lot of the best or better drivers or the faster trucks in this race tonight, and really mixed up the field. So, if somebody decides to stay out and make a kind of an aggressive move and make it happen, it could really change the outcome of this race like it already has already. But Josh Tanner, like we said, he's really already moved up a good bit. Started in 19th spot, already found himself to first, but he's starting on the inside here. But as we come out of turn 4, the thing I'm going to focus on is that 24 of Eric Stanford. Everybody that just restarted from third spot tonight has been able to clear the second place truck. Will it happen again? I guess we're going to find out here as we come out of turn 4. Base car is coming off, waiting on Josh Tanner, and green flag is back in the air.
And it looks like the 24 doesn't quite get the jump that you thought he might get there. The 2 of Blake Griffith is able to hold on to the second position there and pull down in front of him, headed down into corner number 1. Battle for third and fourth, though. Eric Stanford and Judd Danielson side by side, headed out of corner number 2. It's like the 24 is going to be able to clear him, and behind them is the 15 of Jeff T. Martin and Mark Jackson battling for the 5th position.
And just as the 24 cleared, Judd Danielson goes back to the bottom. He's been to the bottom most of the race. Blake Griffin kind of looks like he got tight there. And the 24 of Eric Stanford is way on the apron, going to make that pass on the trial. It looks like he's going to clear the 2 for second spot here in the 1.
At the front of the field, Josh Tanner is already checked out by half a second on the number 24 of Eric Stanford. And like I said, I think this is Josh Tanner's race to lose. His practice time was 7th on the board. It's like he might have had some troubles in qualifying and qualified in 19th, but he's made his way up here, and I think he's here to stay. I'm not sure if anybody's going to have anything to say about it right now.
Yeah, I think everybody's main focus right now needs to be is how is he making the outside line work. If you look at the 84 line of Josh Tanner compared to everybody else, he's about a groove and a half, maybe more up compared to everybody, and still pulling away. But looking back, right now it's still early, but like you said, it's Josh Tanner is really showing his muscles. Going back here to the 5th spot, looks like Mark Jackson at number 3 just overtook Judd Danielson, the 5th spot there.
And just as we were talking about that, Eric Stanford has actually brought the lead down to 3/10 or almost 4/10 of a second. So he's hacked off about half a tenth a lap since we've been talking about that. And maybe Eric Stanford does have something for Josh Tanner here. I know Eric is one of those guys that really does try and save his tires. So we'll see what Eric has for Josh here. It looks like he is gaining on him quite a bit, and there's a big hornet's nest behind them with Jeff T. Martin and Blake Griffith side by side, Mark Jackson and Judd Danielson right behind them.
Oh, and it looks like we might have had some possible net contact with the 2 and the 15. Jeff T. Martin is going to take over the 3rd spot with Southeast Motorsports teammate Mark Jackson right behind them. That's going to move Blake Griffith back to 5th. Blake really needs to have a good run tonight. He is right on the cusp of those points, so really got to watch him as how aggressive he can be. But Southeast Motorsports is really starting to have a good showing. You got Jeff T. Martin in 3rd, Mark Jackson in 5th, and Tyler Chalk is nipping at the bit at Judd Danielson back there, I believe, 6th or 7th place.
Eric Stanford has brought the gap down to 2.5 tenths of a second. He was really trying that last lap. He cut it down all the way to the apron, while the number 84 in front of him stayed way up high on the wall on the front stretch. We'll see what he does this time by what the gap is. It looks like it's stayed relatively the same since last time by. It looks like Stanford not going to go down to the apron this time and try and cut off that little bit of time. It looks like he actually lost half a tenth of that lap.
Yeah, looking at the 2 different drivers' lines, Josh Tanner has already fully committed to that outside. Eric Stanford looks like he's trying to make the bottom work in 1 and 2. And as we come down the backstretch here, mostly they felt running the same line almost there in 3 and 4. Eric Stanford dropped a little bit lower. But if this run moves on, Curtis, what do you think is going to happen to Eric Stanford's tires running the bottom compared to Josh Tanner on the outside there?
I think he's going to burn him up a little bit quicker, but the thing is I don't know, Eric is really good with saving his tires, so he could be pushing it a little bit harder than he wants to right now, just because he knows the lead is right there in front of him. But Josh Tanner, he's another one of those guys who hasn't been able to make every race this season, so it's been a little bit hard to find a lot of his tendencies, but he does have 2 to 3 wins, so he knows how to get the job done. And Eric Stanford does look like he's closing though.
Yeah, we're going to turn 1 here. It looks like Eric Stanford's looking on the inside. Josh Tanner's going to get the run off, but we've been talking about it the last 3 or 4 laps, Curtis. Eric is starting to nip at that lead a little bit and a little bit every lap. It's just about how hard is it going to pass. You know, something we've started to see here is Eric's a little bit high there. You know, if Eric can find the bottom line there, it looks like he's going to have to make his pass in 1 and 2. They're running the same line there in 3 and 4, but you know, Eric Stanford's really showing that he's pretty strong here. I just hope the tires can stay with him, as Josh Tanner is still going to be leading here out of turn 2.
Yeah, I'm looking for more side-by-side battles throughout the field, and 51 is actually back out on the track. James Ross is below the 73 of Jeremy Crandall. It's not a battle for position, and it looks like the 51's actually going to back it off. And here comes the 33 of Vernon Markheim. He's in the 23rd position. He's 10 laps down. He had some trouble getting his truck fired up at the start of the grid there. And they're 2 by 2. Jeremy Crandall, Ray Richard, Vernon Markheim, and James Ross. None of these guys are battling for position, but it looks like they are.
Yeah, and it looks like with you know, we finally got the. Oh, looks like 33 got a little bit loose there, but he's back on the way. You know, we kind of finally separated here, and I think everybody's starting to try to kind of find their own groove. So we will see. You know, a lot of the drivers are talking about tire wear. I think this is going to really be the run where we're going to find out who can save the tires the most. Going back up to the front here, Eric Stanford really hasn't gained much on the 84 Josh Tanner. But as we're separated here, we're going to probably go at the line here to crank it up. Looks like we have a caution on the track.
And it's 44 of Ray Richard.
Man, what a tough break for Ray Richard. That is the second wreck he's looked like in the night. And it may look like he had a little bit of help from the 51 of James Ross out of turn 2 there.
Yeah, taking a look here, and it looks like the 44 of Ray Richard. He just got a little bit loose in the corner and lost quite a bit of speed. James Ross, not really much place for him to go, I should say. And Ray Richard goes around, and the 33 of Vernon Markheim comes piling in, and I do believe those. Oh, and who else was that came sliding on by?
Oh, the 18 of Mark Fravor. It looked like he might have locked him up. Didn't know where the 44 was going. That was a tough break for Mark. Just riding on his own. He was on the lead lap. I think he's trying to keep it safe, but that was a tough break for the drivers there.
Not the end to the regular season that a lot of these drivers want to have, but I mean, that's racing. Still Josh Tanner at the point here, and I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to come and get new tires and see what they can do.
Looks like everybody's going to get 4 here. Kind of a developing story out of the 6 pit here. Looks like he might have overshot his pit stall. That's going to be a tough break for the number 6 of Gerald Campbell. But coming off the pit road here, looks like we're going to have the same leader as Josh Tanner, but Mark Jackson pulling out P2 off pit road here.
Mark Jackson is another one who always has quite a bit of speed, and he qualified in the 7th position here tonight. So not too far off the leader at all. He actually had the fastest time in practice, so looks like he does have the speed. He's put himself in position now, and we'll see if he has anything for the 84, Josh Tanner.
Well, speaking of
I was going to say he is driving that pad sponsored machine with I want to get her name right here.
Nikki Cleaney.
Yeah, Nikki Cleaney. He does have her on his truck, so that is the sponsor of the race tonight, and Mark Jackson representing them well.
Speaking of Mark Jackson, we were wanting to know where he is going to stand tonight. Let's go ahead and pull Mark Jackson up into the Domino's TYJ announcing booth and see what is on his mind here. Mark Jackson, this is Mitchell Reeves up in the booth. You got a copy, bud?
Hey, Mitchell.
Well, bud, it's good to see you're doing good out there, but you kind of worked your way through the field and kind of avoided all these wrecks. Sitting here P2 with a heck of a pit stop right there, and driving a beautiful pad paint scheme with Nikki Cleaney on it. We're only about a quarter of the way through this race. What's your thoughts moving forward as you start here 2nd place?
Well, looking forward, that was the game plan from the beginning, because we knew it was going to be a long race. Really proud to have Nikki on the truck, representing Pad Motorsports, representing Southeast Motorsports. We got our Silverado tuned up pretty good. We just wanted to stay out of trouble, and we're just barely a third of the way into this race. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Just hoping to keep it clean and stay up front.
Well, as we've kind of watched this race, there's a lot of, it looks like there's 2 different significant lines. It's the outside and the inside. Do you think you're going to have anything for Josh Tanner on that inside?
Man, I don't know. There's some grip down there on that very bottom, but it seems to wear the tires out a lot faster. Crew chief was telling me the right rear had a lot more wear on it, so we'll have to take care of that rear tire and hope we can stay up front, stay out of trouble.
Well, there you go. We'll get your die grinder out and make some cookies. Good luck tonight, sir.
You betcha. We're going to keep some warm for you.
10-4. Good luck, Mark.
You just heard Mark talk about it, and it makes a lot of sense. That right rear tire burning up a lot. I think that's exactly what happened to the 44 of Ray Richer on that last caution. Just burned it up a little bit too much and caused him to half spin around. And so that's going to be something we're really going to have to watch for tonight.
You're right, and looking through the field already, Curtis, it's kind of unfortunate to say this, but the field is really dwindled down. We're looking at about maybe 9-10 rows of cars that really don't have damage, but other than that, it's really up to about 20 drivers here. But it's still going to be Josh Tanner's race to lose, I believe. But as we come out of here to turn 4, Josh Tanner's going to bring him back to the green. He's been pretty solid on these restarts. Can he do it again with the 3 of Mark Jackson on the outside and Eric Stanford on the inside of the 3rd P3? Green flag is back in the air.
And Eric Stanford pulls it all the way down to the apron on the restart there. He's trying to make sure that he gets a good jump on the 3 of Mark Jackson. He's going to be able to clear him. So move Eric Stanford up into that 2nd position. Mark Jackson does lose that position. We'll see if he can get back around, but that really does hurt you when you're that close in times with a lot of these other drivers. When somebody gets by you on that restart, takes you a couple laps and slows you down behind that leader to get by him. And still early on in the race, so I'm sure Mark Jackson isn't worried about it at all. But Josh Tanner, it looks like he's already pulled away to 0.3 of a second lead. Still running that outside line, and everybody else behind him kind of running the middle line. So I think these guys are going to have to change their lineup a little bit if they want to try and compete. But I just saw Jeff T. Martin in the 15 machine make a pass on the 2 of Blake Griffith, and right now it looks like Tyler Chalk to the inside of the number 11 machine of William Davis. And they're both trying to work on the number 2 machine of Blake Griffith and see if one of them can make it by. It looks like Tyler Chalk drives it in hard. He gets a little bit loose, gets a little bit wiggly, and they're 3 wide now. Gerald Campbell, Tyler Chalk, and the 85 of Judd Danielson, 3 wide headed into turn number 3. It looks like Danielson backs it off on the outside. Great save by the 07, and he gets up into the wall a little bit, doesn't lose too much momentum, but it's like the 07 machine is struggling out there.
Yeah, Tyler Chalk, a young driver, does a lot of real life stuff too, has done some stuff in the Legends, really showing his driving talents there. I definitely think the Fender effect was enabled there out of turn 2, but he looks like he got it saved back up. You know, Jared Campbell back to, it looks like the 7th position. He had a rough pit stop there, but it looks like everybody's kind of calmed down. You see William Davis there in the 11 making a move on Blake Griffith for, I believe, the 5th spot there. So, and go back to the lead. Eric Stanford is on Josh Tanner's bumper here.
And it looks like he tried to make the bottom lane work out of 1 and 2 there, as he has been all year. Taking a peek into turn number 3, but he's not quite there. Does he drive it to the extreme bottom and try and get the run off? Looks like that's exactly what he is doing. He gets to the quarter panel of the 84. Is he going to pull it down to the apron and try and cut off as much of the track as he can? Not going to do it. That's a little bit surprising. The 84 gets to run on the outside and clears him into 1.
Well, Eric Stanford, you know, we talked to Mark Jackson about it. The inside has some grip, but I think it's going to be one of those kind of races there, Curtis, where the inside is going to be the fast lane for the first couple laps. But if you can't get it done early, you kind of you're kind of going to just have to bite the bullet on tires. But Eric Stanford's trying to get every bit of this tire out because he wants that lead for coming back to the trial.
I'm sure Eric Stanford is making Josh Tanner use his tires up a little bit more than he wants to. And while that's happening, Mark Jackson is just sitting behind them watching this battle unfold, probably trying to save his tires a little bit more than these guys are and make the move when he can.
Well, you look at Eric Stanford, you know, he's the one doing all the moving around. The thing that's kind of works out for Josh Tanner, even though Eric Stanford has really given him a lot of pressure the last couple laps, Josh Tanner has not budged. He has not come off that line. He's been running that same line just about since lap 10 or 11, and it looks like he's going to be there to stay. So Eric Stanford's going to have to figure out something. He's going to try that outside there, though. This is something that he might have to kind of get used to if he's going to have a chance at Josh Tanner here in the 84.
Yeah, and it's hard when another driver just holds their line and makes you have to pass them where where they aren't running, because that's not the place that they're fastest. So when it's the outside line like that, if they get below you, it just doesn't really matter that much. You can still run your line and it doesn't hurt you. So even if the 24 of Eric Stanford gets into Josh Tanner's inside, Josh Tanner can still run his lane. Eric Stanford can't run his lane because he can't swing back up all the way to the wall because the 84 is there. So it's really a disadvantage for the 24 trying to get by when the 84 is holding the outside line like that.
You're exactly right. And as we were talking about that, we came to the lead when Eric Stanford was right on his bumper. But as we've talked about, Josh Tanner has stayed true to that outside line. Eric Stanford tried the inside, and I think the tires have gone away because Eric Stanford has now moved to the outside, and Josh Tanner is starting to pull away. He's beaten them on the last couple laps by about 1.5 to 2 tenths, and it's really separated the top 3 about 4 to 5 cars from first, second, and third. So, we keep talking about Josh Tanner. I really think he's going to have to do something drastically to end up losing this race, but that doesn't mean that this field at the Benton Fenders is going to give up on this win, though.
And it looks like Blake Griffith actually, I think Tyler Chalk actually just made a pass on the number 2 of Blake Griffith. So Tyler Chalk making his way back up there after that little incident, got a little bit loose, and I think he dropped from about 5th or 6th spot back to 9th or 10th, and he's made his way back up to 7th. So behind them is the 98 and the 85. Judd Danielson and the 85 machine, Andrew Kessler in the 98. They were side by side for just a minute there. And looks like Judd Danielson clears the 98 machine. He's able to pull up in front take that lane away into turn number 1, and he pulls it down to the bottom. But looks like a lot of these trucks are just single filed out, and people are making passes pretty quickly, so they're not staying side by side for too long when they do end up side by side.
You're exactly right. And, something that may develop here later on in the race, Curtis, this could be one of those tracks where, if you pit early, you get the tires, and that could really help you, because, you look at even just the leader here, the 84, Josh Tanner. They are already just about a second off, actually more than a second off what the pole position was here. So the tires are really falling off here. They got a good bit of fuel, but some people that are really wanting to take the chance, they're going to probably have to pit early to have a chance at Josh Tanner here, because if you decide to pit with Josh, you're going to have the same tires, and Josh has really been the class of the field. So I think the only way you're going to be able to beat him if this stays green is the pit strategy.
Yeah, and that's a double-edged sword as well, because you can pit early and get the tires and get the track position at the time, but if it stays green, it's going to be another long run. Eventually, if you don't time it exactly right, then they're going to catch back up to you if you do it
early. Oh, we got a
early.
spinner here on the apron. Looks like William Davis, the number 11. What a save.
Like that number 11 Owens Wells service machine has a little bit of trouble, but he keeps it straight. I didn't see what happened, but
yeah, it looks like he might have just gotten loose out of turn 4 there. Don't know if he tagged the wall or not, but man, what a save by that number 11 there. Actually, no, he got loose out of turn 4 just by himself, it looks like. But he kept it straight.
And I do believe the number 3 of Mark Jackson is closing a little bit on the 24 of Eric Stanford. Coming up on lap traffic, the number 72 of Ivan Garcia. It looks like the leader of Josh Tanner has already made his way around him. Josh Tanner has jumped out to a 1.5 second lead, so showing these guys that they're really going to have to work if they want this one. And yeah, like I said, Mark Jackson, he's half a second behind Eric Stanford there. Stanford passes the 72 of Ivan Garcia. And I think that pass is going to work out a little bit better for the 24 than it is for the 3, just because the 3 wasn't able to swing up all the way to the wall there and use his momentum. So not sure if he's going to be... And it looks like, I'm wrong, the 3 actually pulls up a lot on the 24 of Eric Stanford there.
Oh, wow, what a save by Mark Jackson. We've already seen a couple issues. We were going to say Tyler Chalk just got in the wall last lap, and Mark Jackson talked about it. The inside has some grip, but the tires went away, and we have a caution. 07 at Tyler Chalk. Just talked about him.
Just got loose in the middle of turn 4 there and overcorrected back up into the wall is what it looks like.
Yeah, we were talking about the tire. Tyler, I was just looking at a replay. Tyler Chalk looked a little slow the last run, and was kind of a little slow, but it looked like he might have tapped the wall. But coming out of turn 4 there, he just looked like he got loose and kind of saved it and went up on the track. Don't really know what happened there, but yeah, he kept it out of the wall, and once again, a great job by all the other drivers putting him there.
He did keep it out of the wall. I was looking at the lap before, but so Tyler Chalk doesn't look like he's having a lot of fun out there tonight. It looks like he's really struggling, but it's like his truck is doing all right. He'll be able to fix it up. And as I say that, lap 62, we're going to go to a quick commercial break here.
Did your little storm knock out the power? Well, excuse me for not noticing.
Hate to disappoint you, Old Man Winter. Better luck next time.
If the power goes out, your Generac standby generator goes on, automatically.
Down trees? Flash floods? Is that all you've got?
Stand up to the threat of outages with Generac, and never feel powerless.
Hey, this is Garrett Smithley, driving the number 0 JD Motorsports Chevrolet, and you're watching All Pro Broadcasting.
You're watching All Pro Broadcasting with
Freedom Train.
Welcome back here to the Pad 250 here at Chicagoland. I'm Mitchell Reeves with Curtis Young. Josh Tanner is still our leader at lap 65 of 167. Mark Jackson's in second. Eric Stanford in the 24 is third. Blake Griffith fighting for points tonight is going to be in the number 4 position in the 2 truck. And Harold Campbell has worked his way back to 5th place as we come back to green.
And I'm really interested to see what that 85 machine can do. Judd Danielson, he's been racing in our Domino's series since the beginning of the Domino's series, and he's never managed to get a win in an official race, and he looks strong out here tonight, and yeah, I'm pulling for him.
You got about 20 more laps, viewers, to get your picks in for Robert McFarland. 20 laps till you get that free pizza, but here we go to turn 4. The pace car is off, and Josh Tanner is off again. Green flag back in the air.
Eric Stanford does the same thing that he did last restart. He pulls it down all the way to the apron to get that jump. Smart move by him. Both times he's managed to clear that second place car. And he said earlier that they've almost every time that second place car has been able to clear them, and that just makes it that much better for them. But first side-by-side battle that I see right now is the 85 of Judd Danielson and the 2 of Blake Griffith battling for that 5th and 6th position, I should say, sorry. Judd Danielson trying to work the bottom lane right now. Looks like he's able to clear the 2 into turn number 1.
And as we see here, Curtis, a lot of guys are already moving out to the outside. I think Eric Stanford and Martin Jackson, a lot of these other front runners watch Josh Tanner and realize there's, you can use that bottom and make some ground, but the tires are just not going to be there. So looks like we're back to single file through most of the field here. Actually, the whole entire field until we get back to Power Chalk, who got the DOL penalty for the spin there, but he's already clearing and trying to get back up here.
Yeah, and I really think that these guys are going to have to run the same line as Josh Tanner and just try and save the tires a little bit more than he can, and then hope that they're saved enough that they can get by him on the inside when they get there.
I think you're right, Curtis. You know, we've already seen the development of how the tires are going to be. It's really going to be interesting to watch. If we get another long run here, how's everybody going to deal with the tire fall off? Because so far, it's kind of seemed like after about 15 laps, it becomes kind of a barren drive. But as we're starting to say that, Gerald Campbell was peeking on that treacherous inside groove there to see if he could do anything with Mark Jackson, but Mark Jackson had to run on the outside.
And I also just saw the 66 of Jack Watts make a move on the 166 of Ralph Vanderhorst. So Jack Watts, he started at 16th. He's running 14th right now. He's another guy who's relatively strong pretty much anywhere we go. He never really runs in the back, and there's a lot of places where he's really fast. It doesn't look like this is one of his very best tracks, but nonetheless, he's always one of those guys to keep an eye on.
You're exactly right, Curtis. One thing with Jack is he's kind of a guy that is more of a survivor. He always tries to, stay to the end and make his ground. Speaking of making ground, Jared Campbell is trying that inside line to try to pass the 24 now. He's got by the 3 of Mark Jackson, but does he have enough tires to get by the 24 and the 84 that are the leaders right now?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many times you're going to be able to pass somebody on the bottom before you really burn your stuff up, but Eric Stanford does look like he's gaining a bit on the 84 of Josh Tanner, and he has been running the outside line in turns 1 and 2, just like Tanner has, maybe slightly lower, but like I said, maybe he's trying to just run the same line as him, save his tires a little bit better, and hopefully he can get by when he gets there.
We're reaching about lap 72. We're getting pretty close to the halfway mark. We're about 12 laps from lap 84. That is going to be the final lap to get your Domino's Pizza picks in for the race. Once again, that phone number for Robert McFarland, if you want to make a last and final decision, is 919-883-7497. If you want to get a free pizza, choose who your winner is going to be. Hopefully no one's chose your pick yet. And once the race is over, Robert McFarland will get with you and get that free pizza heading your way. Something also to add into that, if you do win the free pizza, it is carry out only. But you can't beat a free pizza nowadays, Curtis.
It looks like the battle for the lead actually heating up. 84 of Josh Tanner and the 24 of Eric Stanford. They were almost side by side in turn 3 last time by. Gerald Campbell almost managed to get to the inside of them both, and they single filed out since, but all 3 of these drivers throw them under a blanket, and it looks like they're all 3 running a little bit different line down the front stretch.
You're exactly right, but one thing I've kind of started to watch, Eric Stanford is making the outside work. He has been kind of just following in Josh Tanner's steps, but Gerald Campbell is trying to make that inside work. I saw him through the front end, kind of got a little unbalanced there, and he's going to lose a little bit of ground, but, Eric Stanford's really trying to make that outside line work, and he's staying with Josh Tanner for the first time tonight, it seems like.
Yeah, and talking about a little bit of unbalance, I've seen the 84 and the 24 both get a little bit wiggly in turn number 2, coming out of turn number 2 in the last 2 to 3 laps, while the 84 has managed, it looks like his truck is perfectly planted. So as much as I want to say that it looks like Stanford or Campbell might have something for Tanner, it really looks like that they're driving a little bit harder than he is as well.
You're exactly right, and the thing is, they are there, but the problem is you can get to them with the draft, but I think once the tires get about 10 laps on them, Josh Tanner has the preferred line, and as we watch Gerald Campbell try to make the bottom work here again, I just don't know if Stanford has the speed or the grip necessarily to make that work on the inside, especially already about 7 or 8 laps into this run.
Taking a look a bit further back in the field, it looks like James Somke and Sean Kalis, they're having a pretty good battle for the 16th position. Sean Kalis is right on the back bumper of that number 1 machine. James Somke, he was involved in, I do believe it was the first caution of the night on lap 4, so he's managed to stay out there and keep himself on the lead lap. Not really running where he'd like to run, I'm sure, but he's got a mirror full of the 45 right now.
You're exactly right. But as we go back to the lead here, Gerald Campbell has made the pass on Eric Stanford. Eric Stanford's kind of been loose the last 2 times at a turn 4 on that outside, and Gerald Campbell kind of went in for the kill and got the position. So Gerald Campbell may have something for him. He's got a little bit of damage on that rear end, but it looks like the tires are really starting to take an effect of the 24 of Eric Stanford now.
Yeah, the 6 and the 24, they are still sliding all over the place coming out of turn number 2. So I'm not sure how they're maintaining pace with the 84 or how long they're going to be able to do it for. But they're definitely probably burning the right rear up a little bit more than what the 84 is. Gerald Campbell tries to make the bottom work coming off at 2 again, and it looks like he's actually closing. He's a truck length off the bumper.
As we go down the backstretch here, Gerald Campbell kind of been quiet most of the night ever since that big wreck, but he wants a piece of that lead. He's tired of watching Josh Tanner lead it. Josh Tanner got a little loose out of 4 here. Can Gerald Campbell capitalize? He's on the apron.
Gerald Campbell looks like he might have a Fender headed into turn number 1, but like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter. Josh Tanner can run his line and not really worry about somebody else taking his lane away when Gerald Campbell's down there, and you just saw it there. Tanner was able to maintain the momentum on the outside line, even though Campbell was able to get side by side through the middle of the corner. Campbell just wasn't able to put the power down because he wasn't able to use the entire track.
Yeah, and just like you were talking about the entire track, he got a little bit loose there out of 4 and lost all that momentum, but it's really good to see that Gerald's trying to make that inside work, but you got to wonder how much longer can the inside work until he gets in trouble here. He keeps getting loose there and gets loose again off turn 2, and he's going to lose more ground. You know, I feel like the bottom's just not there anymore, Curtis.
Yeah, I mean, to make the pass, I really think he's going to have to, he might even have to take it to the outside in turn 3 and 4, and that's going to be something that's going to be really hard to do.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And once again, Gerald Campbell got loose again out of turn 4. You know, Gerald's really got to be careful here. You know, he's in a perfect spot. The last thing we want to see is him put it in the wall, but he is really fighting hard to keep that thing going. You look back to 3rd and 4th, Mark Jackson kind of just been hanging back there. It looks like the tires are starting to come in for him. He's trying to get a position hit on Eric Stanford, it looks like.
And as you said before, Gerald Campbell, he's kind of wanting to finish off heading into the playoffs. He wants to head into the playoffs in first position. He was 4 points behind the 51 truck of James Ross headed into tonight, and the 51 has had some pretty major issues. He's sitting out there a lap down, and I'm not sure what kind of lap times he's running. I haven't looked to see if they're even close to relative of what these leaders are running if he manages to get back onto the lead lap. But I think as long as the 6 machine can play it safe and keep himself up there inside the top 5 at least, he's going to be able to gain those 4 points on the 51.
You're exactly right. As we look here going into turn 1, Martin Jackson has made the move on the bottom for Eric Stanford. Jackson puts it on the bottom. Can he hold it and keep that position? It looks like he might be able to.
And as you were talking about that, Gerald Campbell actually stuck the nose under Josh Tanner into turn number 1 last time by, but Tanner again was able to hold the outside line momentum and just keep it strong. But it looks like Campbell, he's fighting for it again. Does he get the lead in the line? He doesn't. So 0.025 the gap this time, and Gerald Campbell drives it in hard into turn number 1 that time. Is he going to be able to slide up in front of the 84? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the job done, and the 84's momentum carries him by again.
Curtis, this is why we watch the almost 200 the lead and all this. This is some good racing. Gerald Campbell is the faster truck, but can he keep the grip under him? He is fighting that truck every time on exit. If he can keep it under him, I think he might have a chance. It's just trying to find the right move and trying to find the grip on the back end to get around the 84 Josh Tanner.
Yeah, he knows the lead is right there, and I think he might be overdriving it just a tad, and that could hurt him in the long run with burning the tires up. But I mean, he's not getting overly loose where it's gonna really burn it up terribly, but it's gonna hurt him a little bit more than how the 84 is driving, I think. But it looks like he has the speed to stay with him. Looks looks like we've been green flagged since about lap 65. We're crossing over onto lap 89 this next time by. So by the way, free pizza giveaway was 4.5 laps ago. Hopefully you got your pick in, and actually going to take a look and see what kind of lap times the 51 of James Ross is running relative to the leaders right now, because he had some damage, had to fix it. He's still sitting a lap down, and if he can get back on the lead lap and he's running decent times, he might still be one to watch out for.
You're exactly right, but as we're watching right now, Gerald Campbell, you've got to give him some credit here. He has not given up on that bottom. He is the only guy that I've really seen the whole race be able to make it work. He's still got about 70 laps to try to figure out a way around the 84 of Josh Tanner. But, you know, Curtis, we're starting to get a good bit into this run, and, you know, you got to wonder how much longer are these guys going to stay out on the tires. You know, Gerald is all over the 84. And, you know, he is, you know, you look at Josh Tanner, he looks pretty smooth. Gerald Campbell is still faster than him, and he is all over the racetrack trying to make it work as he dives it into 1 and 2 here. Here we go.
Oh, and he gets a little bit loose coming off the corner again, so Gerald Campbell, he's it's like he's had quite a bit of dirt track experience here in the last little while since iRacing released it, but we're on pavement tonight, and he's supposed to be trying to keep her planted. It actually looks like he lost quite a bit of time in the 84.
Yeah, that one I think finally got him. You know, he's been kind of on the edge the last couple laps trying to get on the 84, and I think he finally just did it in too much. You know, Mark Jackson has been really kind of just riding back there, holding his stuff back, and Mark Jackson's back up to the second position. He restarted in second and finally found his way back to the second position, but you know, don't keep Mark Jackson out. He knows how to save his tires, so you know, maybe some of that battling that Josh Tanner had with Campbell is going to kind of pay off for Mark Jackson, but we'll have to see how the rest of this run plays out.
Since we've been green flagged for a while, why don't we go ahead and talk about it? It's the possibility of going green flag for the rest of the race has to be in some of these drivers' minds, and we've been green flagged since lap 65. We have 167 laps on tap here. That would leave 102 laps remaining in the race from when they first restarted. Most of these guys had a full tank of fuel to start that run, fresh tires. And usually the strategy for 100 laps for a lot of people is pit around 33 laps. So that would be coming up here around lap 97 to 100 would be the 33 lap run for a lot of these guys. But the fuel tanks can probably take them anywhere from 37 to 45. And I don't think they can make it 50 to 51 to make it only one pit stop. So they're going to have to make two. It's just a matter of when these guys are going to want to make it.
Well, Curtis, thinking from a strategy point here, would you pit your Mark Jackson or Eric Stanford or even the 6 of Gerald Campbell here and try to make up a lap or two on tires from Josh Tanner? Because, you know, you look at the time, we're almost a second off, maybe even more from where these guys were in qualifying. So, you know, what is the strategy moving forward here?
Well, Mark Jackson right now actually looks like he's reeling in the 84 of Josh Tanner a little bit, so if I'm Mark, I'm going to hope that I can bring that gap down a little bit and then a little bit more before we pit, and then, you know, short pit the 84. I'm sure the 84 is smart enough that he's not going to stay out on the track for 7 more laps after you come down pit lane. He knows what that's going to do to him, so you just got to try and short pit him, make him stay out for even that extra lap, and that'll gain you with the times. These guys, the tires are falling off. They're off by about 2 seconds right now from their qualifying time. So 1 lap is 2 seconds out on the track, and the tires don't. There's just that line where they're going to fall off, and they're not going to get that much worse. So you really just got to find the line to try and get yourself out ahead of them.
You're exactly right. Well, as we just started talking about it, looks like the 24 of Eric Stanford is started onto pit road. So this may be the start of when we start seeing the green flag pit stops. You know, you look back through the field, somebody you kind of talked about earlier that you were interested in was Judd Danielson. Judd Danielson has moved himself into the P3 position. And you look back at Jeff T. Martin, you know, he was running up there pretty good. And he is showing 2 laps down now. So don't know what quite happened to him, but definitely need to keep an eye on these leaders to see when the pit stops are going to start happening.
And Judd Danielson usually likes to run his tank dry and try and lead a lap, but we'll see if he changes his mind on that. 1.9 seconds back in the lead right now, so he's hanging in there pretty darn good. Judd Danielson is right now. Earlier in the race, Josh Tanner pulled away from second and third by about 1.5 seconds on in just a couple lap runs. So, and Danielson actually brought the gap down 0.3 of a second that last time by. So I'm not sure if Tanner is planning a pit stop here. He's checking his gauges or what's going on, but it looks like he's at least going to bypass pit road at least one more time here.
Well, and you look at it too, this is the first time we've kind of seen Josh Tanner move way up. I actually watched him a couple laps ago. He was trying the inside, but Judd Danielson and Mark Jackson have really started to close the gap here. It looks like Danielson and Jackson are running about a lane lower, and it seems like it's working for them. If you got to ask John, you got to wonder from Josh Tanner's point of view here is if they're catching me, let's go ahead and get these tires on it and get this lead back. But there's no telling what's going to happen here.
And Judd Danielson has brought the gap down by 0.4 each of the last 2 laps. We'll see what it is this time by. It doesn't look like he's creeped up quite as much as he did the last 2 laps, but he still gains a 1/10, down to 1.1 seconds. Judd Danielson is behind Josh Tanner. He's 0.5 behind Mark Jackson, so that's another story. He's going to have to get by Mark Jackson as well, but pit stops have to be coming, and if Judd Danielson if he's that much faster on the long run, if he can manage to just short pit them a little bit now, get the track position, and maybe stay out in front, he'll be able to pull away once the tires wear.
Well, you're exactly right. Well, we're still green here at Chicagoland Pad 250. We just reached lap 100, so Mark Jackson, he's trying, but golly, look at Judd Danielson looking at the bottom, trying to make it work. Oh, and he's in the wall. Judd Danielson is in the wall.
Looks like he manages to not get too much damage on that. I'm not sure if he's going to bring it down pit lane after that little incident. Doesn't look like he's going to, which surprises me. I thought he would think, all right, I overdrove it a little bit there. Let's go put some new tires on this thing and see what we can do. But that's going to bring Gerald Campbell into the mix for the 3rd position. It looks like he's going to actually try the crossover move, headed out of turn number 2 there. Danielson had to chase his truck up the hill a little bit there. Looks like he actually let off a little bit. He's letting the 6 machine by, and I think the 85 machine is going to bring his truck down pit lane.
Yeah, we looked at, looks like the number 2 of Blake Griffith is already pitted as well. Curtis, we're about 40 laps into this run here. We went back to green on lap 66, and we're on lap 103 here, so you got to wonder if the reason these guys are staying out is to make sure they can make it on one more stop here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's even a possibility. We run a 75% fuel load, and 50 laps is a lot for a 1.5 mile track. And
oh, the leaders are pitting here. All 3 of them, actually.
So Mark Jackson, Josh Tanner, and Gerald Campbell, they all just want to stay on the same page, I guess, and see what they got for each other after the pit stop. But has Judd Danielson came down pit road? Yeah, Judd Danielson follows them in as well, actually.
And as they're on pit road here, you got to wonder, the 24 of Eric Stanford pitted way earlier than these guys, so can Eric Stanford pull out the lead after this cycle here? This is going to be what's interesting here. Is Josh Tanner's off and away, the 3 is too, and the 6 is really just right behind him here.
Yeah, and I think the 24 machine, he was close enough earlier on in the run to where he could make that short pit.
Here he goes. He's passing him right now.
Yeah, so there you go. He's going to have quite... I knew that there was no question that he was going to get the lead off that move. It's just a matter of whether it's going to cycle back through and work for him. So we'll see if he timed it right. Obviously, I said that those guys wouldn't stay out for another 7 laps after somebody pitted, but I think Eric Stanford was far enough back, right around the 5th or 6th position, that they might have not even noticed, and so that's going to work out for Eric Stanford. I think he's Looks like he's got about a 2.3 or 2 second lead over Josh Tanner right now, and Mark Jack 3 second lead over Mark Jackson when it's going to be all said and done here. But he's also on a bit older tires, and they're going to bring that gap down pretty rapidly. So we'll see if they catch him before Stanford's next scheduled pit stop.
Well, as we start cycling through the field, it looks like we said, Eric Stanford is going to cycle in to be the leader here. And the guy that's been really kind of dominating this whole race, Josh Tanner, is going to be right on his heels, I believe, in the second spot. And then you're going to have it looks like, I'm sorry, it's kind of messed up here. There we go. Eric Stanford's going to probably come out in leader. Josh Tanner's going to be second. Mark Jackson's going to be third. Blake Griffith, another guy that kind of pitted a little bit earlier, is probably going to come out in the fourth spot. And then Gerald Campbell is going to come out in P5. As we reach here with about 60 laps to go, we're going to go to commercial break and bring you full coverage to the end of this race from the Domino's TYJ Racing League, presented by PAD and the PAD 250. We'll be right back with you.
You're watching All Pro Broadcasting with Freedom Train.
Welcome back here to the PAD 250 here at Chicagoland. As we were on our break, it looks like Josh Tanner took where he was probably supposed to be the start of this race anyways, back to the point in P1. Mark Jackson's in second, and Eric Stanford has already dropped back to the third position, and Gerald Campbell's already on his heels, so you got to wonder, those couple laps on the tires, has it really affected him that much?
Yeah, and I really thought it was going to work out a little bit better for the 24. He's fallen back 3 seconds from the lead now, and I thought that Eric Stanford planned his pit stops a little bit more evenly, that it was going to work, but I guess I was wrong, and Josh Tanner back to the lead. Mark Jackson just 0.6 of a second, 0.8 of a second now back.
You're right, and we're coming down here to the last 50 laps here. You got to start wondering, does anybody really have anything for Josh Tanner unless we have a caution here?
Mark Jackson has been pretty quick. Gerald Campbell, I think that one wiggle where he fell back a couple seconds burned his tires up and just wasn't the same for the rest of the run. I think that really might have hurt him if he can't do something on this next pit stop. But yeah, Mark Jackson is falling back a tenth or two a lap as well, and I really think, like I said from the beginning, Josh Tanner really has the field covered.
Yeah, and you've said it from almost the first time he took the lead, and now there's just not been much of a battle for him. You know, there's been some. You know, Jared Campbell kind of was showing showing his strengths there a little earlier, but like we talked about, the inside, it just wasn't there, and kind of just ended up killing the tires there in the end. But you know, right now it's kind of looking like it's Josh Tanner's race to lose. We've been saying it the whole race, and as Eric Stanford. I think Eric Stanford may have some problems, Curtis, because Blake Griffith just actually passed him too, and for the 4th spot. I wonder if there's any damage on the 24.
I'm taking a look, and I don't really think there's really any damage. Actually, it looks like he might have a little bit of right front fender damage. So
yeah, he might have brushed the wall just a tad, but you think it would hurt him that much?
No, not as much as he's falling back. I really think that it has a lot more to do with the
and there's
tires.
the wall! Oh
Big
my
wreck.
goodness.
And you guys saw that one happen.
The 45, you're slammed there at the 24, Eric Stanford. Gosh, what a tough break.
I think the 166 was up in the wall, and Stanford was already committed to the outside lane there. He just came along and plowed him, and a couple other guys piled in as well. Just Jeremy Crandall absolutely flew in there and drilled him.
Yeah, I mean, well, it looks like it might have been the 45 of Sean Callis. Eric Stanford just kind of came back down the track, but man, that is a tough break for Eric. You know, he was really strong earlier in this race, and I think he was just trying to get settled back in after maybe clipping the wall earlier, but the 166 was there, and the tires were already gone, and, you know, it was just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it ended up getting him, it looks like. Oh, and you're right, yes, you're right, the 73 of Crandall did come blowing in there, too. I didn't see that.
Yeah, hard impact for him, and somehow Mark Jackson gets the lead out of all this. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, that might be a developing story here. I did not see what happened. Unless there might be an issue with the scoring here, because I'm looking back at it. It looks like Tanner just kind of lifted. I don't quite know what happened there.
Well, Jackson came down pit lane in front of Tanner, so one of them's getting a penalty if it's not how they're supposed to be, and I think they're both going to be all right, but I'm not sure exactly how Mark Jackson gets the lead off that one.
Yeah, that one's a little suspect to me. You know, unless, you know, Josh Tanner just got really... Oh, I see what happened. Josh Tanner actually got into the wall on that lap. He was running the outside, and he rode the wall basically all in 1 and 2, so we may have a different leader here with Josh Tanner being in the wall. I don't know how much damage he got out of that.
Looks like he does have a little bit of right front damage, and we don't... Like I said, I'm not sure if that damage was what was hurting Eric Stanford. I think it had a lot more to do with the tires, but that could knock Josh Tanner's truck down just a notch, enough to put him, you know, within reach of a lot of these other drivers. And it's frustrating when that happens to you, especially when you do it to yourself, just like Josh Tanner just did. But he's got to realize that he's been the fastest truck out here all night, and a little bit of damage shouldn't absolutely kill his race for him, especially something like that.
Well, you're exactly right. Well, speaking of Josh Tanner, you know, we've been wanting to talk to him all night. Let's go ahead and bring the guy that has been dominating this race, and let's kind of find out, let's kind of pick his brain a little bit and see what his strategy is going to be through the rest of this race here.
Josh Tanner, it's Curtis Young in the All-Pro Broadcasting booth. You got a copy? Josh Tanner, you got a copy? Doesn't look like we're able to. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to get a hold of the 84 machine right now. Something up with his communication to the booth.
Yeah, it looks like it, but you know, it could have just been from pure frustration. You know, I've been there before. It's it can be frustrating to give up a race like that. But you know, while we're under break here, something else we need to talk about tomorrow night. Domino's TYJ Racing, the top shelf, is going to be heading to Bristol for the final points race, and myself, I'm actually only 1 point in on points. So it should be a fun race for everybody to watch tomorrow night.
Yeah, luckily I have a win and I don't have to worry about that one, which is always a good thing heading into Bristol because you never know what can happen in Bristol.
Oh, you're exactly right. I'm needless to say, I'm a little worried about tomorrow night, but you know we just gotta hope for the best. But before we start worrying about that race, we got to finish up a great race we've been watching here. We're under 50 laps to go, and Curtis, you know we kind of it's been a lot of changing in the last couple laps here. You know we saw Eric Stanford and the 84 Josh Tanner. You know they kind of dominated this race earlier, but you know with Josh Tanner getting in the wall, is he still your pick to win now, or who are you looking at now?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Josh. I really think that damage isn't gonna be enough to hurt him, and you look beside him, the 3 of Mark Jackson looks to have almost the same damage, if not a little bit worse. So you might actually want to look into the second row for the trucks that are the cleanest right now, and might end up being the fastest. But yeah, I think it's still Josh Tanner's race to lose. But what's going to be interesting now is when people are going to decide to pit with only 47 laps to go. I don't think they're going to want to run the fuel tank dry and pit with 10 to go.
You're right. Here we go. Mark Jackson's green flag back in the air. And it looks like the number 2 of Blake Griffin's going to do the same thing everybody's done all night. He's going to give the second place of Josh Tanner a run for his money going into turn 1. If Josh Tanner hold it, we may be 3 wide for the lead here, Curtis.
And Mark Jackson goes right to the top, and I'm not sure if he thought that was going to work or if he was trying to let those guys by, but
look at Jack Watts.
Yeah, Jack Watts up to the 3rd position. Like I said, he's one to watch, and he's made his way up into the 3rd position, but they're all side by side right now. Looks like Gerald Campbell, Mark Jackson, Jack Watts, they might be 3 wide by the time they hit turn number 1 here. Looks like Jack Watts is able to hold off Jackson, and Gerald Campbell is making a move on the bottom of Jack Watts. He's looking below Blake Griffin now.
Well, you know, we talked about Gerald Campbell. You know, he was really the only one that really gave Josh Tanner issues there on the bottom, and Gerald has really been able to make the bottom work. He's making it work again on the 2 of Blake Griffin. This may be the chance Gerald Campbell needs to get to Josh Tanner. We're going to have to see if that damage really actually hurts him. But you got to wonder, Curtis, what was Mark Jackson doing on the outside there on the restart?
I don't know. I mean, I think he probably saw everybody else running the outside, and he's probably running that for the majority of his race. But maybe he just didn't know that, you know, that we're not wound up to full song, and these guys are just going to be able to take the shorter way around and keep their foot to the floor and get around me no problem. But yeah, odd restart for the number 3 machine from the lead. His damage could have had something to do with it as well, though.
You're exactly right. Well, you know, we were talking about it changing, but we still got the 2 same guys here in the front. Josh Tanner in the 84 and the 6 of Gerald Campbell. Curtis, I think Gerald Campbell may have a shot at him here. He's really started to close the gap, and he is committed to that bottom. He's got new tires, but can he make it work on the bottom, Curtis?
Well, maybe now that the 84 has a little bit of damage, it wasn't working for him before, but maybe now that Tanner has that little bit of damage, that's going to be enough to be able to let that number 6 machine by. He's looking to the bottom into turn number 1 this time, staying door to door, coming out of turn number 2. Can Josh Tanner carry the momentum down the backstretch? Looks like that's what he's going to do. Gerald Campbell files back in behind him into turn number 3.
Yeah, this is the first time Gerald's really started to make a look, and he's got newer tires. If Gerald can figure out a way to get a good run on him into 1, I think he's going to have to pull the slide job to do it. And if he can pull a 170-mile-an-hour slide job and get the lead here, I'm going to have to tip my hat off to him. He's going to try it again here. He's going to be door to door, but I don't think he's going to get him this time.
Yeah, and I think he is going to have to make the slide job. He gets to the ins. He actually gets the run down the backstretch this time, but he pulls back out behind him. I think he is going to have to make the slide job, though, and that is the only time that is going to take away the 84 of Josh Tanner's lane. He's going to have to slide up in front of him and hope that the 84 can't slow it down enough to cut below him, and he's just going to have to check up and stay behind him. But
well, here we go again. Gerald Campbell's going to the inside, but can he make it stick? This is the best run he's had. He's door to door with 84 Josh Tanner. They're going to be side by side going into turn 3. Can Gerald Campbell pull off the inside lead pass like nobody has been able to do tonight. We will see.
And like you said, that is the first time he has managed to stay door-to-door off of turn 2, down into turn number 3. And now crossing the start-finish line, they're still door-to-door. Gerald Campbell still doesn't have the line taken away from the 84 machine. We'll see where they end up this time coming out of the corner. And it looks like Tanner able to carry the momentum again. So Gerald Campbell is doing all he can here and just not able to take away Tanner's lane, and that's what's really hurting him.
Yeah, and Gerald Campbell's going to the inside again. You know, you got to think, Gerald's got to be thinking in the back of his mind, I've been here already, I've got to make it work now. This is the first time he's actually had a fender on him going into 1. I think Gerald Campbell may be able to pull it off here, Curtis.
He goes right to the bottom of the track, and he clears them coming out of turn number 2. Can Josh Tanner get the run on the outside? It looks like Campbell goes down, pulls the block a little bit. Tanner back down to the bottom. Josh Tanner to the bottom now. It's taken away. It's a little bit of contact. Gerald Campbell. Looks like Josh Tanner just knocks him out of the way for the lead.
This is the racing we come to here watch at Domino's TYJ Racing, guys. We saw Josh Tanner and Gerald Campbell. He is not going to let that go over well. He is going to do the same thing. This is just back and forth. They're going to be door to door here going into 3 and 4. I don't know what Gerald Campbell's going to have to do next, but he's going to have to make the slide job work. He did it once. Can he do it again here in 3?
And I'm not sure if Gerald, he looks like he's still staying even with them, so he's going to have another shot at it. He does. Gerald Campbell doesn't. That was a close one. 0.5 of a second at the line that time. Give it to Josh Tanner, but it looks like Gerald Campbell trying to make the bottom lane work again. Can he clear him out of turn number 2? Not quite, so Josh Tanner's still going to have the outside line. Headed into turn number 3, and it's still a side-by-side battle for the lead.
Gerald Campbell looks like he's going to pull off the lead here. So this is going to put Josh Tanner in a position where he's going to have to make the bottom work. He tried to make it work once, and he doored Gerald Campbell. If he does it again, I think Gerald Campbell's going to make him come with him into the wall. But this is the first time we've seen Josh Tanner under fire. How is he going to react to it? Is he going to be able to react to it? But Gerald Campbell's starting to pull off a lead here, Curtis.
And Gerald Campbell has finally made the pass on Josh Tanner. Taken him what seems like all race, but he's finally got the job done. Now the question is, when does he want to pit? We have 35 laps to go left in this race. We went back green at lap 120, so we're only 13 laps into this run. I'm sure they're going to want to go at least another 5 or 10 laps, but that really just puts him. These guys are so close, Josh Tanner and Gerald Campbell. I'm not sure if I'd want Tanner behind me, knowing that there's another pit stop and that he could short pit me.
Well, one thing, too, that's going to be interesting to watch from Gerald Campbell's position here, he has been following in Josh Tanner's tracks all night. So now now you look at it, it's kind of, the tables have turned. Does Gerald Campbell try to make that outside work? Does he take away Josh Tanner's line? Or does Josh Tanner go to the bottom? We watched Josh Tanner go to the bottom in 3 and 4. He doored Gerald Campbell. I don't know how much more he's going to be able to do that without getting away with it. But we're looking at it here. Gerald Campbell's kind of holding his own here, Curtis. He's still sticking to the middle to the bottom, and you got to wonder. There's nobody else really close to him. It's going to be between these two guys if nothing changes to the end of the race.
Yeah, and if I was Gerald, I know how hard that was to get around the 84 on the inside, and I don't want to have to do that again. So I'm going to run my line until the 84 gets to me, and then I'm going to try and run the line that he's been running and make him get around me where he's not comfortable running. So it looks like that's what Gerald's doing. He's just running his line, and we aren't sure what he's going to do if the 84 does catch him.
Well, like you said, and Josh Tanner's in the wall.
That is going to pretty much hand this race to the 6 of Gerald Campbell. That quite a bit of heavy damage on the 84 machine, and I think that's even going to drop Josh Tanner farther back by the end of this race, even though he's got the next truck behind him is 2 seconds back. That's Blake Griffith.
Yeah, looking at his right front, he has really got some significant damage on that right front. You can't tell me that's going to be good for the aerodynamics. But, in a way, that's a tough break for the 84. You got to know in Gerald Campbell's wonderful looking truck helmet right now, that's kind of a sigh of relief. He was really battling hard for him, but this is going to kind of open that race up again. If we have a caution, it could be anybody's race to win, but knowing Josh Chandler, I don't think he's going to give up that easily.
Yeah, he's already fallen back to 2.6 seconds back of the lead, so heavy
He's still
damage.
getting loose.
Yeah, heavy damage on that machine, and when you go for a slide like that, like you said, he's still getting loose. There's, the tires don't get any better, so you've slid them like that, worn them out, they're not going to get any better, and things are only going to get worse for you, even if you try and underdrive the truck a little bit. But heavy damage to both right sides of, or to both front and rear, the entire right side of that number 84 iRacer Digest machine, and I don't think it's going to be too many more laps before that number 2 Blake Griffiths is on by the 84 machine.
Well, this kind of opens up the the book there for Gerald Campbell. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but look at Josh Tanner here. This is a developing story. He is pitting now. I think he can make it on fuel, but I wonder why he's wanting to pit so early unless he's going to put it behind the wall.
I think he's just, I don't think he's going to repair any damage. I think he just knows that, his tires are pretty done after that slide. He's just going to come get some new ones, try and save this set a little bit better than that set that he was just on, and maybe he will repair some damage, but I don't think that makes much sense under green when you're just going to lose that time repairing that you're going to lose on the track anyway, so might as well just get her out there and run it as long as it's not going to blow up.
Well, you're saying that, but now we're looking here, the number 2 of Blake Griffith, who was running in the P2 spot, just pulled it down into pit road 2. Curtis, I think these drivers know something that we don't here. They're I guess they're short pit. You got 27 laps left, but you would think you'd want to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, we've been green since lap 20, so that's a 47 lap run, and we would have left in the race from the drop of the green flag. We're 20 laps into the run, so it's getting close to that time. A few more laps would be the halfway point to divide that run up, so a short pit would be right about now, and you're seeing who's taking that chance right now.
Well, I definitely think the eyes need to be on Gerald Campbell. The 66 of Jack Watts, who was in P4, already pitted too. So, this is going to kind of turn into a situation here, Curtis, where these guys that's already pitting, they're going to make up some time because we're already almost 2 seconds away from what these guys are running for pole qualifying laps. So we're back to that same situation where do you want to take the chance? Oh, here we go. This just changed everything. Here's a caution.
And it's the 72 of Ivan Garcia. He goes around and into the grass.
And this is going to be a tough break for a lot of those guys that just pitted. That's going to put those guys a lap down and really put them in a situation. So that's a tough break for Blake Griffith, Josh Tanner. Southeast Motorsports is Jack Watt. Those guys already pitted, so I don't know if they're going to come out on the lead lap or not, but this is really going to open this race back up for a lot of those guys that fell behind.
And taking a look at the replay, it looks like the 72 of Ivan Garcia just got a little bit loose in the middle of turn number 4. Went down to the apron and then just overcorrected it back up a bit into the wall and bounced down into the grass. So not sure if he's going to be able to finish this race, but heavy damage to the 72 tide machine of Ivan Garcia.
Yeah, Ivan Garcia's had a crazy night tonight. He stayed out early tonight and ended up being in the big one there that included James Ross, Blake Griffin, Gary Sexton, a lot of the top runners here, Gabe Wood. It's just been a tough night for him, but you got to give him definitely a pat on the back for keeping it going. And that thing's still rolling, and Ivan Garcia, he's not going to give up on it until he doesn't have either he's lost a wheel or lost about 8 cylinders. So got to give a tip of the hat to him. But let's see what happens on pit road here.
And I think this is now Gerald Campbell's race to lose, but Judd Danielson, caution flies the perfect time for him. He's going to be sitting in second when this race restarts as long as his pit stop goes smooth.
And Curtis, we're watching everybody take 4 tires here. It looks like it's going to be Gerald Campbell off pit road first with Mark Jackson second. Judd Danielson is going to be third. But something that we have not talked about, the 42 of David Wright is in 4th position. This is very, very big for him. He had to beat the number 2 of Blake Griffith in points by I think he was about 20 points back. So I don't know if it's going to be enough, but don't count him out on the win. We've been up and down with people in the front here. So somebody that we really haven't talked about much earlier in the race is now going to be in P4. Curtis, who do you pick now?
I'm really James Ross, actually. James Ross has somehow made his way back up into
Wow.
the top 5. I have no idea how, but I'm not sure what kind of truck he's got. Let's try and dial him up, actually.
Alrighty, I'll pull him up here.
See if we can get a hold of that 51 truck. He's had a pretty eventful evening.
See if we can get him in here to the booth. James Ross, this is Mitchell Reeves in the booth. Got a copy, bud?
Yeah, I got a copy, Mitchell.
Well, James, we have almost kind of forgotten about you there. We saw the crazy start to this race with Ivan Garcia and Blake Griffith put you a lap down, and we see you in position 5 tonight. How in the world have you worked your way back up here?
Well, actually, we went 3 laps down. Yeah, we've been saved by cautions all night and making up laps. I mean, we're down about 10 mile an hour straightaway speed, so we got a big parachute on the back of this thing. But we're just logging laps and trying to do the best we can. And these guys have been, I guess, courteous enough to bring out a few cautions, so at least we can get a lead lap finish here.
Well, you were talking about the 10 mile an hour difference, but we've been watching these guys up front. Once the tires kind of go away and stuff, it's really not about speed. It's all about grip, it seems like, in the turns. You're going to be restarting here 5th and on the bottom. Do you think you got anything for these guys up here in the top 3?
No, absolutely not. I mean, especially on a shorter run like this, they're just going to drive away from me. We just don't have the speed to keep up with them. But we'll do the best we can. We'll get every position we can, and we'll be back to start the chase next week.
Well, alrighty, James, but we're going to wish you luck, and we're going to hope you can find some speed there, maybe do a slingshot engage from Ricky Bobby and pull it off, but we'll be pulling for you, sir.
Yeah, maybe I can get somebody to strap a rocket booster onto this so I can stay with him down the straightaways. But, all right, good talking to you, Mitchell.
Drink a Monster Energy. Good luck, man.
And one thing that's worth talking about, if James Ross can manage to hold on to a top 5 and somebody can manage to take the win away from Gerald Campbell, that's going to keep James Ross at the top of the board for the point standings heading into the playoffs. And I think James would have the advantage just because of the amount of wins he has anyways, but it'd be close to see. It's going to be a close finish on points anyway.
Yeah, he was 4 points ahead of him, and right now it would be tied, but the bigger thing on the track here right now is we're going to be coming to 21 to go. Gerald Campbell in first, Martin Jackson in second, Judd Danielson in third. Gerald Campbell's off. Green flag is back in the air.
Yeah, and you do get the 5 bonus points for winning the race. So unless Gerald Campbell fell back out of the lead, Campbell would pass Ross, but I'm interested to see if Judd Danielson can hold on to a top 3 position here. He's had a couple of good runs this season, but I don't know if he's had a top 3. It looks like he's got David Wright looking to his inside in the Triad Computer Works machine, and David Wright fighting for a playoff spot right now with the number 2 of Blake Griffith, and Blake Griffith back in 10th, so I think that's exactly what he needs. David Wright needs a really good finish, and Blake Griffith has to have a subpar to not so good finish. And
and Josh Tanner is in the wall again. That's a tough break. But something I just thought about here, Curtis, the 2 and the 51 have had a race together, and this is going to get interesting between them. Blake Griffith is all over the back bumper of James Ross, so we will see how hard James Ross makes it on the 2 to pass him here.
And we're going to keep an eye on that battle. Looks like James Ross is giving him plenty of room there, but yeah, James knows he doesn't really have a truck to compete right now, and I think you heard it. He's just happy to finish on the lead lap after what happened in the start of the race here, and he knows that there's not really much he can do. You see how much time he's losing on the straightaway there. Just lost about 4 truck lengths at least, and just not much you can do with that.
Yeah, and you got to feel for David Wright here. You know, he has driven his heart out tonight, and it looks like he may be coming up just a tad bit short. That's a tough break for him. He has had a heck of a race tonight, but just don't know if he's going to have enough to pull it off here.
Yeah, he's really going to have to do some work to try and get by Gerald Campbell to get the win to get himself in, unless Blake Griffith has some sort of other problem and ends up finishing farther back than where he's at right now, but currently running in the 7th position. Going to take a look at the points and see what the actual gap is between those two drivers. And Blake Griffith sitting at 404, David Wright sitting at 387, so 17 points the gap, and I'm just not sure. That's definitely not going to be enough for David Wright.
That's a tough break for him, but it's a great race so far for Gerald Campbell. Gerald Campbell is still going to sit on the top spot here. David Wright's going to be in second. Mark Jackson's going to be in third. And somebody we've kind of forgotten about here, Curtis, we talked about him earlier, was Andrew Kessler. He's kind of been quiet tonight, not been really up at the front, but he's found himself into 4th place. Do you think he's got some time to get up there, or is he running? He might be running out of time then.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody is going to really be able to make their way back up here. I think David Wright and Mark Jackson are really going to be the only ones that have a shot. They're going to have to knock off about a 10th a lap, though, if they want to do that. Mark Jackson looks like he's putting some pressure on the 42 of David Wright, but once he gets there, tries to get around him, he's just going to lose more time to the number 6 machine. So I think the 6 machine of Gerald Campbell hasn't made right now, as long as the caution doesn't fly out. That would be, absolutely disastrous as far as I'm concerned for him, because they have a few laps on these tires, enough where if everybody else came in and got new ones, you're going to be at a major disadvantage, but at the same time, you're not going to want to come down pit lane, so I'm sure Gerald is just hoping it stays green flag right now.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, it's going to be, if the caution comes out, I really think that's going to be the only way it's going to put him at a chance of losing this race, because Gerald Campbell has drove a heck of a race all night. He has been on the verge of wrecking this truck for about 10 laps in a row, trying to race Josh Tanner earlier, and kept it together. But you got to feel for Josh Tanner. You know, Josh Tanner has led a lot of laps tonight, and it looks like he may have just kind of fallen off. He's, I think, a lap down now in 11th. But, it was a heck of a run for him. But this race isn't over yet, Curtis. You know, we've seen some crazy stuff tonight, but, Gerald Campbell really has opened up this lead on them.
Yeah, you do got to feel for the 84 machine, but the good thing is that he's already in the chase, and he basically just had to be here to run this race to collect enough points to stay inside the top 30, and I think he's even a lot safer than what I think. I know a few weeks back he was right on the cusp, but he's been able to make it out to all the races in the last recent bit, and been able to claw his way back up and I believe close to the top 20, and he has that win, so he'll be in. He showed all these guys what he's really made of tonight. Made a little bit of a mistake, but I'm sure he'll learn from it and come back even stronger.
And speaking of some racing here, Jack Watts kind of fell and fallen back a little bit. Andrew Kessler, Judd Danielson, and Jack Watts are really having a good battle here for 4th, 5th, and 6th. And Jack Watts are looking on the inside of Judd.
And Jack Watts, actually, that was a huge run coming out of turn number 3 that time. He drives it in hard into the corner that time, clears Judd in the middle of the corner, and looks like he's driving away off the straightaway as well. Judd Danielson tries to take a little bit of a shorter way around through the apron that time by to try and make up some time. Doesn't look like it's going to work for him. He's actually takes a little bit of a lower line than Jack Watts. A little bit of a wiggle out of the 85 machine that time by, though.
But look at the run Jack Watts gets on Andrew Kessler here.
And Jack Watts is turning on the afterburners. He's saved something for the end of this race, and he's going to make his way up into the 4th position on by Andrew Kessler. And Mark Jackson is quite a ways ahead of those guys, but I'd be surprised if you could catch him. He's 2 seconds back of Mark Jackson.
Well, it's funny about Jack Watts. You know, you look at it. You look at the point standings here. Jack Watts has led a lot of laps this year. He's only led 4, and yet he has got almost the most top 10s in the series so far. You know, that's got to say a lot about just trying to survive races and stuff. You know, he's not winning them, but he's staying in them, and that really right now, Curtis, is what's going to get you to the points. Oh, and we have a caution.
And it's Chad Payne that goes around on the backstretch, and this is going to set us up for about a 2 or 3 lap shootout.
Oh, man, this is going to get good here.
And what do you do if you are the number 6 machine of Gerald Campbell? Do you pit? I don't think he's going to want to, but is everybody else going to feed him to the wolves and come down pit lane for fresh tires? By the way, that caution was just Chad Payne got loose coming out of turn number 2, overcorrected back up onto the track, and single truck incident. So Chad Payne, the only one hurt out of that one, and maybe Gerald Campbell if he doesn't win this race too.
Yeah, this is going to make it really interesting. You know, I was very fortunate to be able to announce tonight, and I think I have picked the perfect race to get to announce. You know, this is going to really make it interesting. You know, we watched Ivan Garcia stay out on a couple laps earlier, and we saw how much it ate him up just in the 1.5 turns. You know, the question is now, does anybody want to take the chance of staying out, or better yet, taking 2 tires here?
Yeah, it's really going to be a tough call here. There's only 10 trucks on the lead lap too, so if you do pit, you're only going back to 10th spot at the very worst, and there's got to be a couple takers here. Here comes David.
Oh,
here comes everybody.
Everybody came, except for Judd Danielson here.
And will those 4 trucks be enough space for Gerald Campbell to hold on to the lead? I don't know. I think those new tires are just going to be rocket ships on the outside.
But see, think about this though. Judd Danielson's going to be 2nd. James Ross, who is slow, is going to be 3rd. So you're going to have about 7 trucks that are going to be way faster than these guys trying to get through them. You know, I think Gerald may have a big enough gap here with these 2 trucks behind him to maybe have a chance. But, you know, we've seen some crazy stuff tonight, Curtis.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least. There's going to have to be, it's either going to end under caution here, I think, or there's going to be a lot of crazy paths. All those trucks on fresh tires, I think one of those guys are going to win it.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but, you know, there's going to have to be some great driving out of these guys, and they can do it. These are some of the better drivers, or one of the best races I've seen here in a while in Chicagoland and the trucks. You know, it can happen, but it's going to have to be some really, really good moves from these guys from 4th on back. But we've seen the difference in tires in just 4 or 5 laps, and that was about a 7 or 8 lap run, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, we don't know really what David Wright has. We know Mark Jackson's been up there all night. We know Judd Danielson's been up there all night, but these guys are on old tires. You know, I've got to look back at Mark Jackson and Jack Watts, my teammates here. You know, they might make the move of the race if this thing can stay green.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how many we're gonna have when it gets to the restart, but if it's any more than 1 lap, I really think Gerald Campbell's only hope is a caution coming out before they get to the checkered. And it's probably the worst thing you can see happen as the leader of the race, especially how hard Gerald Campbell worked to get the lead of this race, and it's just been so strong in the coming weeks. I'm sure he'd love to finish the season off with a win, and to have all those guys behind you on fresh tires not that far back is just unsettling feeling, I'm sure, for the number 6 machine right now.
Well, and something else, you know, we haven't really talked about much. This is a crown jewel race, so these top 3 positions do get a certain type of cash prize. First place is walking home with $20 tonight. Second's going to be $10, and third's going to be $5. So there's some money up for grabs. So you got to think maybe it's going to get pretty aggressive here to see if anybody can get in the top 3. But you know, I don't know really what to expect here because, you know, we've talked about this all night, Curtis. The 3rd place guy has been able to clear 2nd place almost every time in a 1, but we both know that James Ross has damage here. So what happens with James Ross on this restart is really going to kind of decide what happens with the rest of the field, I think.
And lights are off atop the Ford Mustang pace car. Looks like we're going to have a 3-lap shootout to the end.
Man, this is going to be a great race to the finish here. I hope we can stay green because there's some really hungry guys there in 5th place. Guys, just remember, the first place person, or the first guy with new tires is going to be the 3 of Mark Jackson and the 42 of David Wright. David Wright's going to be first. He's going to be starting 4th. But just to reset the field here in the top 5, it's going to be first is going to be Gerald Campbell on old tires, the 85 of Judd Danielson second, 51 of James Ross with some damage, going to be in 3rd place, the 42 of David Wright, and the 3 of Mark Jackson. Folks, I appreciate you guys joining in. We're going to be coming to 3 laps to go here in the Pad 250 at Chicagoland. We're going to have a great race to the finish here, Curtis.
Yeah, and everybody keep an eye on that number 42 purple Triad Computer Works machine. And everybody on behind him, because they all have fresh tires. The 3 in front of them, they're all on old ones. So 3 laps to go here from Chicagoland. Who's going to win it?
Here we go. Green flag is back in the air for the final time at Chicagoland Speedway. Looks like the 51 of James Ross is going to be slow. David Wright might be able to clear him. That's going to put him in the catbird seat going into turn 1. Danielson throws the block. This is going to really help out Gerald Campbell here. I don't know if James Ross is going to be able to do anything here, but looks like David Wright could have a chance at it if they stay green.
And David Wright, he's not going to be able to make it into the playoffs unless he can win this race, so he's working hard for this one, and it looks like he has the room for all the trucks on fresh tires. That one worked out perfectly for him, and he's going to have to drive his heart out for these last 2 laps to get by Gerald Campbell. Popsicle sticks in the air from Chicagoland.
2 laps to go. Can David Wright get into the chase? He has got to pass the 6 of Gerald Campbell, and here he makes the move out of turn 2. David Wright, to make his chase hopes alive, is going to take the lead with 2 laps to go. Here we go.
But don't look now. Here comes the 2 of Blake Griffith just behind him. He's going to be close on points. I don't believe Blake Griffith does have a win on the year. White flag in the air for David Wright.
White flag is in the air for the 42 of David Wright. He knew he had to win the race or beat Blake Griffith by a lot to get him in. He's coming out of turn 2. Blake Griffith knows that his chase hopes are dwindling as he comes out of turn 2, but he's coming into 2nd place. Can he make the run? I don't think he can. David Wright, this would be the upset of the year for him to pull this off and get into the chase. As we come out of turn 4, Blake Griffith makes the run, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The last race of the season, for the regular season, the 42 of David Wright is going to make it to the chase and win at Chicagoland.
And they wreck behind him, Mark Jackson, Josh Tanner, and I'm not sure who else was involved there, but big wreck coming to the start-finish line. And David Wright gets the job done and propels himself into the chase. That's going to knock Blake Griffith out because Blake Griffith did not have a win this year, so wow, what a finish.
Well, we talked about it. If it was going to go green, it was going to come up to those guys right there. You know, you got to feel for Gerald Campbell, but you have got to give an applaud to David Wright. He didn't have the truck to win. He said it earlier, but he made the call of the night and maybe the call of the year, Curtis. First win of the year, and it couldn't happen at any better of a time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And man, you got to feel for that 2 machine. He finishes 2nd, 1 point. We're just a 1/10 of a second back from the chase. Getting knocked out. He does get in on points, but with the amount of different winners that we had, it's going to knock him out by 1 spot. And you really got to feel for him there.
And I think we're going to start with interviews here very shortly. We're going to start with Gerald Campbell, but just to make a rerun into the top 3, it's going to be David Wright with the win, Blake Griffith 2nd, and Gerald Campbell 3rd. We're going to go ahead and pull Gerald Campbell down for our 3rd place interview. Gerald Campbell, this is Mitchell Reeves up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Gerald, I know it's kind of a heartbreak to come home 3rd. We basically kept the cameras on you almost all night long. You battled Josh Tanner harder than basically anybody. Made the inside work when no one else could. Probably were on the verge of wrecking your truck about 10 laps in a row racing them. And to come to that last restart there on old tires and come home 3rd, well, how did your race go, and what was your thoughts going into that last restart?
I knew I was screwed. I want to race this year with that strategy. So, I mean, honestly, it's what it is. You never win one until it actually comes down to it. So, all props to David. He raced me clean. He had to do what he had to do. I had to do what I had to do, and it just didn't work out. But I never told anybody that the inside was bad. It's just that everyone seems to play sheep, and everyone thought that outside was all great, and I was like, I just don't like that outside. So I continued to run that bottom groove, just thinking that I was gonna make it work, and it was fast. I don't think anyone was better than me with fresh tires on that bottom groove. But
well, we definitely applaud you for making that inside work. You were dirt tracking it on asphalt. That was really cool to watch. But before we let you go, this is the last race before the chase. We reset now. Going into the chase, what is your thoughts and what is your confidence level at as you move into the first race here coming up next week, I believe?
I believe it's 2 weeks. Actually,
yes.
I'm actually very, very excited for it because that's actually a track I feel like I run particularly well. I never go into most races thinking that I'm going to run particularly well, and I'm going to go into New Hampshire going with a head of steam, especially since I think I won the preseason points system. So it didn't mean anything, but it meant something to me because that meant I was good for the long run. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting chase, and it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to have to watch for because I'm going to continue to race the groove that no one races. I'm going to be the one that points the arrow in a different direction and see if it works.
Well, Gerald, we really applaud the way you drove tonight. You drove your heart out. Tried to make, like you said, you made things work that nobody else could. Before we let you go, who makes it happen for you and who you got to thank?
Well, I like to thank my fiance for always supporting me watching these, my parents for watching them as well, and allowing me to be able to do this with them. I actually have the setup at my parents' house because they have a lot better internet than me, so it means a lot to me that they allow me to be able to still come over and do these. I don't get any practice session. I come into these races, I haven't raced since the last time I raced with them, so it's difficult, but I like to thank anyone that watches these races, any of the announcers that stand up and do what they have to do. People don't understand the difficulty of having to sit up there and actually talk through a whole race and make it sound interesting when sometimes it's just single file racing. But hopefully I allowed you to be able to have a few things to talk about and make it a little bit more interesting for you.
Well, Gerald, we appreciate the run you made, and we can't wait to see what you and the Campbell family and race team can bring to the chase here as we move on into New Hampshire. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
And I've caught up with the second place driver here tonight of Blake Griffith. Blake, a little bit of a bittersweet night for you. You qualify in fourth. You have a pretty darn good run all night. You finish second, which any other night is a pretty darn good night, but unfortunately the one driver that was behind you fighting to get into the chase gets the win and knocks you out. I mean, what is going through your mind right now?
Well, I'm not sure. I was 19th in points after missing, the first 10 races I wasn't in, so I don't know where I'm going to end up in points, but second place finish should do pretty good with that. But man, I'm moving over to CCR with Cross Continent Racing with Gary and Will and Joe. Man, it's meant a lot to me, and it helped me a ton tonight having Gary Sexton on my side. So I'm just happy, man. If I'd have had 100 more feet, I would have passed him like he was sitting still, but I didn't have enough time. Going a lap down earlier kind of killed me. I pitted a little too early and it killed me, but I'm happy with the second place, and hopefully I can get in the chase here and make something happen in the chase.
And what was your plan when that last caution came out? Was your plan to come down pit lane and get tires, or were you just kind of waiting to see what everybody else did?
Well, Gary was in my ear. He was like, "Dude, just be ready. Be ready. I'm going to tell you what to do." So Gary gave me the advice to go down right there, and honestly, if it wouldn't have been for Gary, I probably would have stayed out. So I'm really happy that Gary helped me out there. If it wouldn't have been for him and CCR, I probably wouldn't have finished second tonight.
All right. Well, Blake, I know you mentioned your teammates there, but anybody else you'd like to thank?
Man, just a big thanks to CCR, a big thanks to Domino's for sponsoring us, Robert, all you guys that host, my crew chief, and everybody that participates.
All right, Blake, well, congratulations on your second place finish here tonight, and I do believe Mitchell has caught up in victory lane with our winner here tonight, David Wright.
Yep, we're in victory lane here with David Wright. And David, we talked to you earlier, and if you haven't won a race this year, and you came out and you won the one race you had to win, David, how'd you do it, man?
All I can tell you is I am glad y'all interviewed the winner last, because I needed that long for my heart rate to slow back down. I don't know. Right place, right time. The truck ran like I expected it to. Had to get loose a few times, but took 2 tires when on that last caution. I knew the others took 4. I knew the guys up front weren't going to be able to hold it, so I just turned it to the bottom and said, please stick. And my goodness, what a surprise. I can't lie. What a surprise.
Well, David, we were pulling. I was pulling for you there. We watched it as it unfolded. Actually, I didn't even know you took 2 tires. So the fact that you were able to pull it off on such a loose racetrack to begin with 2 tires and come out and win, that's just something in itself. But this is almost a Cinderella story. You said that you were kind of worried about the truck earlier in the race, and you were just going to kind of take it easy, and you ended up getting through everything. But now you got this win on you. It's great to celebrate, but in 2 weeks the chase starts. You got so much momentum now. What is your thoughts and what is your confidence level as you move forward into New Hampshire?
Confidence level has been rising over the last few months. I've noticed that I've gotten faster, and the last couple of weeks I felt like I drove too aggressive and caused some incidents that I wasn't proud of. Nothing major, but just some stuff I wasn't proud of. And I came into the night with the mindset that I found some speed. I have gotten better at my driving. This league, the Domino's TYJ League, puts you on the fast track to fast, and it's worked for me. And I just said, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to drive easy. I'm going to drive a little conservative and look at what happens. So sometimes you get greedy when you find speed, when you're competitive, or when you're a very competitive person. And I decided to take it easy, drive conservative tonight, and it somehow paid off. And man, I'm gonna tell you what, I couldn't be. I've won races in other leagues. I've run, just like all of us have in official races. But man, this takes the cake. There's some tough competition in this league, that's for sure.
Well, David, you're some tough competition as well, as it shows as we're talking to you here in Victory Lane. David, it was awesome to watch you win this race like this, and it is so cool that you had to have the win to win it, and the guy that finished behind you was the guy you ended up having to beat. And I don't know if you knew this, but as that restart happened, the only way you were going to get into the chase is to win it. So the way it happened was basically a storybook ending to this regular season. But David, before we sign off for the night, we got to ask you, who makes it happen for you? Who you got to thank?
Oh man, gotta thank all y'all in the booth. Y'all take the time to broadcast these things and not race. So thank y'all so much. Gotta thank Robert and Domino's TYJ. Robert gave me a chance to be in this league, and I can't thank him enough. And I gotta thank Joey Manus at Tri Computer Works, who keeps this rig running for me. And everybody thank the Lord, man. This is a big win for me. I can't tell you how much this means.
Well, David, you gave the iRacing viewers and the iRacing Live crowd a heck of a show. You couldn't have won it in any better way, in any better race at the right time. And we can't wait to watch you in the chase, man. Congratulations. You better celebrate this one good.
Thank you so much.
And one thing I just want to go over here before we close it out, just got word from league owner Robert McFarland. Robert unfortunately had to work late tonight, wasn't able to make it here, but he was taking care of the free pizza giveaway all night with his phone, obviously, and the winner is Tracy Butler from Nashville, Tennessee. So congratulations, Tracy. Robert will be in contact with you. You can get your large 3-topping anytime this weekend or tomorrow night, I'm sure, whenever you want. Robert will be in contact with you anyway, and congratulations.
Well, Curtis, I don't know how much more exciting that the end of that race could have been. We're wrapping up the race now. What are your final thoughts after that amazing finish?
I mean, I definitely didn't see it coming. I kind of thought that race was going to end under green flag, and it was going to be Gerald Campbell. There was about 2 or 3 different people in that race that I really thought the race was wrapped up in theirs at some point. So it was an interesting race to say the least, and you can't ask for a much better ending than what we had.
Well, it was a great race to announce, and it was a great race to watch, hopefully for the fans. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't thank you guys enough for supporting Domino's TYJ Racing. I'm Mitchell Reeves. This is Curtis Young. We have just wrapped up the Pad 250 at Chicagoland. Be sure to tune in here with All Pro Broadcasting tomorrow night as we finish up the regular season at the Top Shelf at Bristol. That's going to be a heck of a race, too. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching, and congratulations to David Wright for pulling off the win at Chicago at the Pad 250.
Smithley, driver the number 0, JD Motorsports Chevrolet, and you're watching All Pro Broadcasting.